What's up, Shinners, and welcome back to the Shin Dig podcast, where we like to get under the skin of the trials community. My name's Matt Pengelly.
And I am Tom Hutley.
And we have a superstar with us today, an internet sensation, YouTube sensation, cutting right to it, really. Someone who's taken the sport online and really helped grown and been a bit of a inspiration for us too.
Definitely, yeah. He's very active on the YouTube scenes.
Yeah,
he is a professional rider.
He was also seriously active on the forum. He was
still is,
actually.
His name is Ali C.
Ali C. Alistair CLARKSON.
How's it going? Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, mate. Yeah, absolute pleasure. And where are you in the world today?
I'm in Glasgow. I'm actually in my motorhome parked out on the street because the house is a bit busy, people buzzing about. So decided to come out and into the street, a bit quieter. There might be a few cars driving by, but yeah.
Yeah, we can see that in your
that
awesome
must be
little
so
motorhome.
nice, just having that as a little kind of like, right, this is my space. I just want to get away from everyone right now.
I know there's some people, I think you'd really enjoy that as well, wouldn't you, Tom? Just that area, being like, can I leave to go to my other home?
There's definitely times when, I just want to come and sit in here just to chill because, it's such a nice little space, nice and quiet, my own little hideaway. Just close all the curtains.
Yeah, we've heard, so you say in your house in Glasgow, are you still living with some other trials riders in that crew?
No, it's an end of an era. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's not even my house. I'm living with my fiance's mum.
Okay, the mother-in-law.
Yeah,
to that extent. Right.
To be mother-in-law. Yeah. I've lived with Danny and Duncan and a few other guys who are also riders in Glasgow for the last 8 years. But
yeah, that's what we last heard. That's a long time. I mean, we've only been about a year and we haven't killed each other yet.
Yeah.
No, I was so lucky. Those guys are so chill. I mean, I'm sure I drove them up the absolute wall at times. I'm not the tidiest guy in the world, working on bikes, maybe leaving a few plates here and there. But no, they're really chill guys, really good guys. But I know Danny, certainly, I think he only ever treated Glasgow as a temporary place to stay.
Okay.
This is for this Danny McCaskill.
Danny McCaskill.
For anyone that lives under a rock.
The actual YouTube sensation.
Yeah.
So, he's like, right, I'm not going to settle. This is just a temporary thing before, I don't know where I want to live, but we'll have Glasgow. Then 10 years later, he's still here. And so I think he did finally have a bit of an epiphany. He went, he and Duncan both, and with Rory Semple as well, went and spent some time, actually just before the whole lockdown was announced, they went and booked an Airbnb just to kind of get out of the city for a while and ended up being stuck in the Highlands and really enjoyed being out.
Didn't look like a bad place to be stuck though, did it, from those shots, I must say?
They had a really good time. I was so jealous. I really wanted to go up and, especially these pallets they had set up. I'm sure you guys have seen the clips they posted.
Yeah,
it's insane.
I see that now. So you just missed out on that kind of movement, perhaps.
Yeah, so
you left the house.
Like, they did invite me up. They did say, "Oh, we're going to go and spend some time up in the Highlands. You're welcome to come with us if you want." But I was like, you know what? No, I've got my own thing going on.
Yeah,
I've got my fiance. I can't leave her behind. So I was like, I appreciate it, guys. Thanks, but you go do
truly
your
adulting.
So I think they had an epiphany that actually they really liked being outside of Glasgow. So they told me, we want to leave, and slowly everyone's kind of left the flat, and the Pollock Shores Palace, as we called it.
So we've kind of started at the end, really, but let's go back to the beginning. Let's give us some context for some of our listeners. We've got like obviously very new trials riders getting into the sport, some old people digging bikes out of sheds and stuff. I first remember you, Ali, just when joining on Trials Forum, and we mentioned at the beginning of the episode just how big like a user you are on there, and still
I'm getting concerned now.
No, don't worry.
We haven't done any digging or anything like that. But
there was too much. There were 379 pages of comments. I went through the first few, and there was nothing. I couldn't find anything that was bad, Ali. You're like, his punctuation is correct.
That's the thing. I was try to put in effort into what I do. So even commenting on a forum, I try to get my spelling right, pronunciations, grammar as good as I mean, I'm not perfect, but I do try. And I've been into arguments on the forum, but even then I don't like to swear or like really call people out or anything. So I try to keep things, you know, so when I do look back in the future, I'm not ashamed. So hopefully I'm stuck with that.
Absolutely. But it's like you've always sort of before there was Facebook and like YouTube.
Yeah, what we know of now, you've always been sort of quite, you know, high up within the scene. Really, you've always had that
presence,
that presence.
Online.
I would say,
yeah, you've always had that presence, and I'd always remember just you know, your name and the black cat being your image.
Oh yeah,
that's just how I knew. And then wasn't for 10 years later that I found out who you were because of YouTube. And
well, the thing with Trials Forum is, I think I was member number 50 on there, or around there. And I actually joined before it was Trials Forum, when it was bashguard.com and their own forum, and then it turned into Trials Forum.
Wow, I did not know that.
We clearly didn't. Right.
Well, we joined it as Trials Forum, so we wouldn't have known. But wow,
I think
that's
2004. I was your first comment that I sort of read. 2003, 4.
Well, that was after the crash. So Trials Forum crashed and everything got reset. And
see, this is new information, right? We didn't know
deep,
this.
like pre-forum, like the dark web of
the counter
dark web of
the counter got reset. So I was on there. I don't even know when. Maybe from like 2000, 2001, kind of thereabouts. Yeah, pretty much back when I first got an internet connection and started really getting kind of into trials. I was like straight in there in the forums.
Well, it was the place to be. When I wasn't riding my trials bike back then, you were on Trials Forum, you know?
I mean, I could be getting my dates wrong, but it was certainly pretty early days.
Right, so anyone who can maybe... Obviously, that information's probably gone. But there was one thing I did notice in the first few comments. You put a picture of what looked like an awful BMX. So you used to own a BMX. It was a blue one.
Yeah,
I remember. Can you go into a little bit of that? We didn't see you as a BMX rider, Ali.
No, well...
So we're trying to catch you out here.
Potentially interesting story with that. So I actually swapped my Monty 221 X Lite for that BMX.
What? You swapped a trials bike for a BMX?
Yeah.
Okay.
That bike was knackered. So I'm not sure, probably before your time, but they weren't strong. This thing, I'm pretty sure it was falling apart. And we went randomly to like a BMX race track or pump track. It was awful, but a friend of ours was on that blue BMX and I just had a real good time riding it. I was like, well, I've got this absolutely knackered trials bike if you want. I was like, do a swap? And he was like, yeah, sure. And then we swapped, and I actually don't even know if I ever rode that blue BMX again after that. So I think
he just got it
just for one occasion. Like, it feels good in the now.
Yeah, I think I actually that picture that you probably saw is the picture I took to sell it.
Yeah, right. Because there's one who's uploading, and here's a BMX I have, you know, and you're like, oh dear, what? Didn't realise. But we all start somewhere.
Yeah. So no, a lot of people assume because I do street trials now that I've got a BMX background, and no, like I have owned BMXs, but I'm awful at it.
This is something I wanted to definitely touch base on here, is that, you know, a lot of the trials that we see that's in the limelight, okay, has a lot of elements of BMX discipline, should I say. But I'm trying to make it clear to others that these people, they watch Danny Mac, they watch yourself. You guys came from trials backgrounds.
And I think that's particularly what's quite good about your YouTube platform as well, is that you do share this as well. You know, you've had builds where you build up more traditional trials bikes. You know, the old classic Ashton, which was like when I first joined Trials Forum, seeing you riding that and, you know, rekindling that and getting it back into that. So it's really good to see. But yeah, I mean, how did that progression then come about? You know, because obviously you was massive on traditional trials. You know, you've done the competition scene for many, many years.
Yeah. So yeah, basically no BMX background for me. Straight into trials. I mean, to be honest, I definitely was riding a non-trials bike in a trials manner before I even knew what trials was. Because I remember getting a magazine, MBR, and it had an article on the British Championships. So it actually happened at Adding Moorside, which was a half-hour, 40-minute drive from where I grew up. And I was like, that's what I do. and I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my God, these people, there's competition. People do this? I thought I was the only one. Or myself and my friends. And yeah, it absolutely blew my mind that trials was a thing. And I saw these crazy looking bikes. And I was like, whoa, I need to get involved in that. And it had a phone number in this magazine for the Yorkshire Tykes, which is now Tyke Trial. Yeah. And yeah, I got my mum. I was like, I'm interested. Let's go to one of these. So my mum actually rang up, spoke to Barbara Wright, it must have been. Oh no, this was before Barbara. Oh my God, I can't even remember who was organising it back then.
Going way back.
Yeah, this is 1997. And yeah, the next month I was at my first competition.
No, this one says as soon as you see a trials bike, you're instantly, that's the sport. You're instantly friending them.
But I quite like what you said there about how you didn't even know it was a sport, but you was already doing it. Like that's the kind of level of So even right then, I think your creativity was already there. That you're adapting a bike that is doing something.
It weren't creating a bias for yourself because this is how the trick is. You're like, well, I don't know the trick. I don't know what this trick is. So all I want to do is get from here to here. So that within yourself, you almost created your own style of riding without.
So it was basically myself and about 3 other friends all got into bikes at the same time, like 12, no, probably younger than that, like 11, 12, 13. And we'd just go out and compete against each other and see who could do the longest wheelie, who could get up the biggest curb, who could drop off the biggest wall. All these kind of pretty basic trials moves, but yeah, trials moves.
That's how it all started. Yeah, it's still 10 years ago. Nobody does that now. Oh, can you drop off that wall? Do drop-offs. But you recently actually brought out a video on like how to drop off as well. And some of us were thinking like, nobody does that anymore.
Yeah,
though.
we was like, yeah, like
why is that? It used to be such a big thing, and now it's just like
doing drops.
Is it worth it? Yeah.
Long competition bikes are the most awful things to do big drops on. They're too long. So to do like, I'm not saying they're not doable, but they're not pleasant, and especially with
so what's the optimum? Like obviously because you've gone through different bikes and things. So for yourself, what's the optimum then? Like the sort of street setups that you've got now?
Yeah, so something where the legs can take the most impact. So trials bikes at the minute are so long and with the bars so stretched out. When your back wheel touches, the handlebars basically want to rip out of your hands, and it's impossible to have your weight go down all onto your feet. It ends up kind of going a lot onto your arms, like trying to rip your shoulders out because the bike's got so long and so much leverage.
Really
So with the shorter bike, bigger drops are a lot more comfortable.
Actually,
I never really thought of that.
And the bikes have got longer over time. So maybe that's why your dropping has just become less pleasant. Is as simple as that.
I think it's a lot to do with the bar and stem setup. So bikes are probably similar length to even when I competed. It's just the bar and stem setup has completely changed where your body positioning is on the bike. So it really, from back when I rode competitions on a fairly long bike, you could still get your weight back over the back wheel up into manual and stuff and really like take the impacts with your legs. But with a longer stem, with the bars tilted forward, your body's shifted so far to the front of the bike. It just,
That's why hooks are now becoming more of a thing, and up to front wheels, lots of more front wheel moves.
That's the thing. You sacrifice the big drops, which probably aren't that common, to doing hooks and up to front wheels, which are way more common. So it makes sense for sure.
Yeah, I can see that. And what are your thoughts on that change of geometry? Because as a sport, other sports don't necessarily change quite much, but trials, you've been in it for so long, 25 years, correct me if I'm wrong?
Yeah, like it was 24 years since I did my first competition, so I'm probably riding a couple of years before that without knowing.
And what are your thoughts on that kind of progression of, I guess, body positioning throughout the sport?
So, like, I'll just say it here, high bottom bracket bikes was what made me stop competing. And
interesting.
Okay.
So I'm an old school guy. I started competing on my 1996 GT Avalanche, an 18-inch frame, triple chainring, narrow bars, cantilever brakes. So that was my first competition trials bike. And as the years got on, the bikes got a bit more specialist. I moved on to like a Pashley, which even these days is probably even more streety than my Hex. And then the bikes did get longer and longer, and eventually I was riding, I think I got an Echo Hi-Fi, which you may have seen, I did a build video on that.
Yep.
And that was the bike where I was like, this has stopped being a bike now. This is This is
Interesting. Really, it's not a bike. It's now just some
It's a hopping-
obscure piece of.
it's a hopping machine. That's it. Turned from being a bike that I could take anywhere. I could take to some local small little dirty jump area, or I could take it to a skate park. It stopped being a bike to me. It started being such a specialist hopping machine that was specifically going beyond the back wheel or whatever, hopping through these rocks.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not into that. I'm not into it. Plus, at that point, I think that was almost too advanced, and then things went back down again. So that's not what stopped me from riding competitions, because that was such an extreme bike. Then things went back down to lower bottom bracket. So I was like, okay, this is cool. Competed again for another good half a decade. And then, that's when high bottom bracket started coming back again. And I was like, I can't compete. I can't ride that style of bike. I've no interest in riding that style of bike, but you need that style of bike to do well at comps. And I was like, nah, I've been doing it for 12 years. I'm done.
Well, if that's what you're going up against, I see what you mean here. If every other rider in the competition is riding that geometry and you're something completely different, I mean, you know, a rally car against a race car, I don't know, that's probably a really bad analogy there, sorry, but in terms
works.
of being not the same sort of sport, but different disciplines, I don't know where I'm going with that. Because obviously your style of bike, and then you look at a competition bike, they are now, you know, you can two extremes.
Yeah.
Trials never used to be like that.
Yeah.
There wasn't those kind of.
It was just sort of one bike that
Yeah.
you could be a bike, and like you said, it's just this. We've touched on it, I think, on previous episodes of some of the guests we've had on, whereby it kind of alienates people. This kind of, like you said, the high bottom bracket bikes, the hopping machines, and that, because people can't get their head around it. Whereas at least, you know, there's kind of bikes that you have ridden, and maybe more so the sort of street style that you're doing now, is a lot more approachable. People can sort of see that, and they can draw the parallels between, you know, a normal bike, really.
Yeah, I think it's cool to have a bike that still looks like a bike, but not to take away from the competition scene of bikes at all, because it can still go viral, as people have proven with that style of bike. I mean, certainly I did that video with Jack Carthy, and I was like,
That's
really
done really well. That one,
that was an interesting one, because I was like, I'm going to make this video with Jack Carthy, and I know Jack Carthy is like the best rider in the world. It's unbelievable what he can do. Like I've known Jack since he was like knee high, and just to see I will be stood next to something, and he's like, I'm going to get up that. I'm like, okay, so he's going to go up to hook up that. Fine, that's pretty big. Then he just goes straight up to front or rear wheel. I'm like,
for someone who's been riding for that long, and you yourself are still surprised and astounded.
Well, and also in seeing you ride like in person as well, like, and then your videos and stuff,
like,
you go massive as well, Ali. So it's just these different like progressions, like us looking up to you looking up to him, and it's like, where does this stop? Like,
with that video I made, so obviously I know how good he is, and I know Shipley Glen, I know kind of how big these rocks are. I was like, but are my audience going to know? Like, I can show them, but will they appreciate it? I don't know. So I actually didn't know how well that video was going to do. My videos were doing fairly well at that time, and I was like almost a little bit concerned that putting something so kind of specialist, different, might not get that many views, but it was
the other way around.
Yeah, nearly 500,000 views on that video now, and it's still getting views and comments often.
I mean, it's fantastic for the sport, and this is why we want more people like yourself to be pushing the media and just making more videos. It doesn't matter necessarily if it's got thousands of plays, a few hundred. It's just more videos out there, more traffic, more people to YouTube in itself means that all of us sort of help each other
within any sort of trials discipline or community. Yeah, because in that video, I mean, there was, like you say, some of the stuff that Jack done that was just humongous. There's a bit, I think it's like some sort of weird wedge, and you're in it, and it's like well above, like,
oh yeah,
I don't know, how the hell are you going to get out of this? Like, I mean, Jack just obviously pisses
I think one of the reasons that video did work was because there was that element of comparison. So it's all great. You see Jack on this rock, okay, and he moves about, and you see him like, wow, that was amazing. But until you're also in that same position with your bike, people can't really relate and go, oh, shit, that is big. Wow. Okay.
Well, there's certainly a couple of times when I was like, Jack, can you go and stand next to that rock so people can actually see how big it is? Because like when you just go and fly up it, you don't quite get the impression that it's as big as it is.
No. And I tell you what, getting natural videos meaning rocks and all that kind of stuff, they can be really hard to capture the kind of the essence of the size and ratio.
And that's another reason why I thought maybe it wasn't going to get that many views, because riding natural I found generally doesn't get as many views as riding street, just because you don't see the little nuances of this little tiny little rock that might be just catching your back wheel slightly, or maybe that where you're hooking your front wheel has a little bit of moss on it. You don't see those kind of things. Whereas in the street, you see a bin. People know how big bins are. They put stuff in bins all the time.
They can relate to it. They've stood next to it and so on and so forth. So I think for an actual video, it was
I think
really fantastic.
It's quite humbling as well, because you've got your audience who's then built up and warm to you. They know what you're good at and your expertise. So then for you to say, I do this, but this guy, it's on another. I think they can really see that progression as well.
Like I'm not the one. Hey guys, you should follow him. Like, and that's part of it.
I mean, that's the thing. I think a lot of people try so hard to boost themselves and their riding with their own media, which is I do that at times. But I think it's also important to be honest and be like, I've never claimed I'm the best rider in the world. I'm a decent rider, but there's people out there doing way more impressive stuff or different stuff. Like go check out this guy. Like, this is insane. So I think that's important, just to give other people some credit where credit's due.
So with that in mind, of course, you've been building this YouTube channel. It's over 100,000 subscribers now. If you're not already subscribed to it, then
make sure you
go
are now.
over there and do
bell
that
on as well.
What has that made you a better rider? Has that progressed your riding? What has that done for you and right? Because
on a personal level,
you was pretty passionate about riding anyway. Yeah. So I'll be interested to know what dynamic has happened now.
Probably kept me riding. I honestly think I probably would have stopped. I got
that's good to know. So you don't feel forced, or it's not a chore, because sometimes it's difficult.
There are times, I must admit, when it's winter and it's cold, it's wet, you've ridden the same spots a million times, it can be really quite hard to think of something different rather than being like, I'm just going to go ride in the dark in the same spot again. So it can be pretty hard to think of ideas or just force yourself out sometimes. But that's why I started the channel, because, a few different reasons. My income, my work was doing shows with Drop and Roll, and that's only a few days a year.
It's seasonal, isn't it? Really?
It's seasonal, and even with Drop and Roll, it's kind of quality over quantity. So, like, not to take anything away from other demo teams, like I even ride with the Clan at the time, where it's a lot smaller events, but more of them, whereas Drop and Roll is bigger events, but you might only get 12 shows a year. So outside of shows, I wasn't really doing anything. I wasn't riding as much as people maybe think I was. I was actually probably just playing on the PlayStation far too much. So I was like, man, I need to do something about this.
A better outlet with this energy and
I've got all this time. I'm wasting it. I'm getting a bit bored of riding. I need to make myself accountable. And videos was kind of where it was. I set myself a challenge to make 1 year, a video a week for 1 year, just to give myself a challenge, because I've never kind of completed any challenges. I'm notoriously bad for starting a project and then never finishing it.
So it's sort of like a personal goal, personal riding goals, So
I was like, right, a video a week for a year, and it'll give me something to do with my time. It'll make me accountable, to make me go out riding, even maybe if I don't want to. It'll make me think outside of the box for ideas. It'll help me learn some skills, and it's had a few other benefits as well. But for my riding, certainly it's helped me keep up riding rather than getting bored of it and quitting. Being held accountable has been great. It's made me think outside the box, maybe try some different stuff, try different bikes, ride different places. So all in all, it's been the best thing I've ever done for myself mentally, physically, for my riding, for basically every aspect of my life.
I couldn't agree more.
It's so good to hear, and seeing the way you're approaching it, like looking at it from so many different angles with your ideas for videos. So it's not just like, me doing this or learning how to do that, but there is, just everything, like with the Jack Carthy example.
And
then going back to your old
yeah.
bikes, or even putting like, the suspension setups on a trials bike. Does it work? Because at the end of the day, you're like the authoritative voice. So you're going to be quite honest if this does work, then this could be the most greatest idea ever.
Well, the other thing is I'm notoriously bad for changing my mind on stuff. So often I'll make a video and I'll be like, yeah, this is great. And then the next week I'm like tinkering. So, oh no, this is, I prefer the old way, or this is better. It's like kind of hard to make the videos and give us like an absolute opinion on something. So I think generally with my video, a lot of the time it's for entertainment and it's quite a cool idea, but doesn't necessarily mean that I'm always going to be running whatever I've done.
Yep.
Yeah. In the pursuit of content, sometimes, you have to do stuff like that. And
as a professional YouTuber, that's what you are really, right? You could say you're a professional cyclist, professional YouTuber. What is the common sort of day-to-day like with you, Ali? Are you riding every single day? Are you thinking about YouTube every day, or you're like, no, I dedicate these days to that? What would an average week for yourself sort of look like?
Oh, it can vary so much. It depends on the weather quite a lot, because I don't like riding in the rain. Unfortunately, I do live in Scotland, in Glasgow, where it does rain a lot. So, say this week, I actually went and filmed with Mark Westlake doing a lot of mountain biking, met up with John Shrewsbury in Porthcawl. So I've got, at the minute, I've got 5 days worth of filming done. So that's hopefully going to be 5 different videos. So after this call, I'm actually going to be editing. It's actually a really nice day today, but no riding today, probably no riding tomorrow. And then, on Friday, I've got to upload the video. I might be able to get a little bit of riding on Friday. And then, basically the weekend will hopefully be free, do some riding on the weekend, and then back to
That's what I was curious about, because I dedicate, weekends for riding, and I make sure that we always ride. We have a term now we call Sundays at 11.
Sundays at 11, yeah.
That's something that we keep drilling into people. It's like, whatever happens, Sundays at 11, you ride your bike.
Nice.
Like going to church.
Yeah.
But do you kind of leave the YouTube stuff at home on a weekend and then just focus on yourself and really enjoy that? Or is it always happening? It's always in the back of your mind?
It's always in the back of the mind. Because the schedule, it's not like a 9-to-5 job where this is work time, this is relaxed time, or this is my time. It overlaps so much, and I find it so hard to plan what I'm going to be doing. Like, people say, oh, what are you doing in like Sunday the 17th next month? And I'm like, I've no idea. It depends how things go. So I can't say, yes, I ride every weekend, because there might be something happening a weekend that needs to be filmed, or I might be going out riding mountain bike with a group of friends who only get weekends free, and I might want to film then, or it might be raining at the weekend, so I change that to an editing day.
Off then,
So basically, I don't have a routine. It chops and changes all the time, but it pretty much all revolves around content, when I can make it, when I can edit it, when I can get some free time, and it just changes depending on what's happening.
And what's actually happening too, what content you can gather if someone's locally to you. So keeping it flexible, that's good to know.
So with that in mind, what's on the horizon? What's for the future for the channel? We're excited to see, like, any big plans.
So I've got these mountain bike videos filmed. I'm keen to do a lot more mountain biking.
Nice.
Like my channel, a lot of people say it's a trials channel. It's not. It's a channel about me. It's an Ali CLARKSON channel. It's about it sounds so big-headed saying that, but
no, that's a good distinction, actually.
No, this is exactly what we were talking about. It's because it's a channel of you as a rider, a sportman, right? An athlete. I couldn't think of the.
Yeah, that's very true, actually. Because I think when you say trials, that does really sort of quite narrow it down. And then, like, say for future scope, I suppose maybe when you started out, it probably would have been like a trials channel, but now you've gone, right, hold on a minute, let's go a bit wider. Would you say that's what's happened?
Yeah, I mean, I never intended it to be a dedicated trials channel. It was just a channel about what I get up to. And what I get up to isn't always trials. Sometimes it's mountain biking, sometimes it's bike building, sometimes it's a wheel build tutorial. It's kind of just what I get up to. So, yeah.
See, as I like to think ours, we try and dedicate it purely to trials. You see what is that kind
Yeah.
of other level there?
Yeah.
Hopefully that's why we're all trying. Everyone's doing something slightly different.
Yeah.
We're not trying to copy each other, you know.
I mean, some people probably say, oh, you should probably make a separate YouTube channel for the mountain bike stuff, but man, it's hard enough doing just one channel.
I don't think so.
Well,
no.
it works because you've already got like your face is very much like the subject of like the content of the content. Yeah, so like you're very much an active part in everything, and I think people tune in for you, not the trials.
Absolutely.
Not
They're
the bike
invested into
necessarily.
you as a person, not the bike that you're riding or what day it is. You know, they want to see what you are doing.
your opinion.
And that has
I
been
think-
one of the most surprising things is just how nice people have been about just me being me and how invested they are in watching me. Because when I started the channel, I've actually, yesterday I filmed, it was 5 years ago on the 21st, so just a few days ago, last week, that I started the channel. I posted my first video.
Wow. Yeah, that is one of my
5
questions
years.
here. So you just hit the 5-year mark.
Yeah, so yesterday I filmed a video basically just to say thanks so much for watching, and I unboxed my silver play button. So
Oh, we're so we've got another. We hit 11,000 last night, so
That's
nice
quality.
one, guys.
we'll
Nice one.
we'll hopefully get to the 100,000 one day. But mate, that's amazing. Like seriously, dude.
Thank you very much.
You know, from the trials community and stuff. It's a hard thing to hit. Such a niche area.
Yeah. So basically, thank you. I made this video yesterday. I was going to upload it pretty much after I've done this chat with you guys. Basically thanking people for like accepting me as me. Because in this first video,
Absolutely,
the
mate.
first
I think you've been an inspiration. Yeah.
I was so awkward because I'm not sure if you guys know. 'Cause I'll say it in this video, which is coming out later today. I was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome when I was in my teens. So I'm on the autistic spectrum, and I was so awkward. I couldn't look people in the eyes. I couldn't travel like across town. I couldn't get on public transport. I couldn't go to school or anything like that. So
Right. It really impacted your life.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
the basic things in life.
So I've really struggled to make friends in the past. So to have this channel where I was really opening myself up, I was expecting abuse. I was expecting bullying.
Yeah.
I had people warn me saying, you know what, other YouTubers are saying in their channels, be prepared for a lot of negativity. None at all. It's been absolutely positive the entire time. Maybe one or two negative comments, but
You get them everywhere.
Yeah.
It's just like what is
Well,
wrong
it wasn't.
with
We
you?
didn't start getting negativity till our videos got more traction. So in my eyes, I was like, "Oh my gosh, you know what? We've made it." If someone is like commenting negatively and saying it, you're like, "I think we've made it."
It's hit.
Yeah, it's hit them in a different
hit
way.
them,
They're
yeah.
frustrated. It's hit their nerve. So I totally agree, mate. Like you're
But-
opening you up to everyone and sharing your life, sharing everything about you. You're making yourself potentially vulnerable.
yeah, but
Right?
everyone's
So I
been amazing.
understand.
I cannot believe
But
how
that's so good to hear.
nice
man.
everyone's been.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's the true value and reward of what we see a lot in society now. With like podcasts, like longer form stuff, with videos where you actually share genuinely what your life is about, the struggles that you've been through, and people really gravitate towards that, and then they can identify themselves in it. And as you've seen, you get to reap the rewards from that. Everyone, subscribing to the channel, that is them personally investing in you and pretty much saying thanks because it's an audience. So
And I think going back to the forum with being kind of nice on there, I think you reap what you sow. And also with the channel, I think people can smell fakeness. And
100%.
like if I was to pretend I'm something I'm not, it wouldn't work. It really wouldn't work. And I think a lot of people try to pretend on their content, their channels, even on Instagram stuff, they try to portray this lifestyle which maybe they don't have. And
That's tiring to do.
Well, I think it'll work in the short term, but then you can't keep up a life forever. You eventually get like unpicked, and it's like, but as you've said, you've been doing this for 5 years, so it's definitely not like, to some people might have not seen the full journey. They might think it's overnight success, but you've been working pretty damn hard to get to this point. So.
Yeah, it is a lot of work.
It's never ending. It just makes me realise like we're nowhere yet. We've got so many years to go in terms of trials too.
Well,
but
consistent,
it's-
keep consistent with it, and I think Ali's like the guy to look up to.
I think you've. I'll say it too. You've definitely inspired for me myself. I'm like, hang on a minute. There is trials doing that, and people are gravitating towards that. So it was sort of this time last year that I was umming and ahhing, saying we need to do a podcast. We need to like start another outlet for other things. So I'll say that you've been a big inspiration of that. You might not have even known it, Ali.
Thank you.
You
Thank
know,
you very much.
not just for us, but I mean for all trials riders out there who want to get more involved and be part of it and be like,
yeah, we're saying that to everyone else as well. Where people going, oh, like I want to start a podcast and trials. I want to do some videos and trials. Like we'll do it. Like we don't want to be the only people
we don't want to
doing
be
this.
those people.
Like,
we're not here to be like, oh, they do it now, so don't do it. No way.
Yeah.
Everyone has their own unique style and spin on it.
Yeah,
So
I've been so stoked to see other people like start their own vlogs or whatever. You guys starting this, I think it's fantastic. The more the merrier.
That's what we think. That's what we want. We want more outlets, more media, more content. So I can get home every night and watch new trials content every night rather than going, we need,
I know if when I was starting, when I was 13, 14, if I'd had YouTube vlogs I could go watch, if I had podcasts I would absorb as much information as possible. So yeah, there's definitely people out there who want more and more and more. So yeah, there's room for everyone.
So we're going to get a little bit deeper, I think.
I've got a story I want to bring up that I got from somebody. Oh no! So it's okay. Don't worry.
It's a good one. But I like this story because this is very much what. Yeah, go on.
You touch base with Duncan Shaw
on the Drop-In podcast.
Hope he's listening. On the Drop-In podcast about living with Danny and Duncan, and they're drinkers, aren't they?
Lively animals.
Bit lively animals, bit partiers, and I think they got you out a few times.
Yeah.
And you did say to them, "Oh, I've been drinking." We went out drinking with them a few times, right? Just as a bit of but you're not much of a drinker.
It's not your vibe.
It's not your vibe, right? I get that. Now I don't know the date. You might need to correct this story if I'm wrong. Let's forward. We're going to go right back to a moment where I don't think you'd ever been drunk, and you were curious one night. I believe you were like, what is it like to just be a little bit tipsy and jolly, I think, right? So please tell me if I'm wrong. I'll jump into it.
I'm curious.
You pop down the local shop to buy just a small bottle of vodka. But to make yourself not look like an alcoholic, you also bought some vegetables. Specifically, I was told a cabbage. Might be wrong. So you bought a tiny bottle of vodka and a cabbage, and then went home to drink your vodka and look at your cabbage and go, oh, is this what it feels like to be a little bit drunk?
I don't remember that specific one. Probably got too drunk and forgot it, but that totally sounds like something I would do. Yeah.
I mean, I think it is a funny story because it's definitely, I have a friend who's similar sort of thing who's never been drunk. They're just like, but I just want to say that I was, just don't want to. And it's the sort of thing they would do on their own just to go like, huh, is this it? All right, cool.
And it's probably true because vodka, if I'm going to drink, it's probably going to be vodka. Just because, the only reason I don't drink is I can't stand the taste of alcohol. It's horrible. It's disgusting. So I need something that has the minimum taste as possible and it's over and done with because I hate this sensation of it going down that heat. There's nothing about drinking that I like. It is not for me. So if I'm going to drink, which, I'm not against drinking. If you want to have a drink, absolutely fine. Do what you want. And maybe occasionally I might join you. But if I'm going to join you, I'm going to probably have vodka or some kind of shot. I actually don't mind tequila. Tequila's all right.
Oh, fantastic. That's good to know, Ali. That's good to know. Perhaps next time you're maybe at Radfest when you see in your motorhome, I go, hey, I've got one. Running over. I'm like, he's here. Sundays at 11. We're talking about drinking, not riding.
I'm curious to know who you got that story from because that's some real...
That was from Ross, actually. Mr. MacArthur reached out to me. And he was like, "Oh, I'll tell you, I've got a really good one for you." So I was like, "Wow, this is."
But I like that because, especially the choice of vodka, because it's like, well, this is definitely going to get me drunk. It's like the minimum viable dose. It's like when people get coffee. Like really, if people want the buzz from coffee, they should just have the espresso. That's kind of what you've done, right? If I want to get drunk, it's just going to be the vodka part, and it is. It's just a drink. I don't know who drinks vodka.
I mean, when I was
normally
stupidly, first time I got drunk, I think was with vodka too, and it's just one of those things. You think, oh, it's a strong and. Awful first choice of drink. Like it's disgusting. I use it to clean my discs or whatever. What I mean? It's just like a thing, not the sort of thing you'd.
And then the under 18 listeners, don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry about drinking. I mean, two of our riders don't even drink alcohol. You know, Chris and Callum, Shin Dig ambassadors, they don't drink. You know, so
I envy them. Like
it's partly, but then that makes me feel better because if they don't drink, I now drink for two people. So that's how I feel that it goes. And what did I? Oh, so yeah, we touched base on that. You did your experience of your vodka drinking.
I was trying to think, when was the last time I had a drink? And it actually wasn't that long ago. It was probably December or January. I had famous international skateboarder Richie Jackson staying at the flat.
Wow.
That's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
Anyone don't know Richie
How did
Jackson.
that come about?
Yeah, I was just about to say, can you tell us a bit about that?
Well, if you haven't, to those watching and listening, Richie Jackson is kind of like one of the most creative skateboarders out there. His videos...
You've got to watch the video.
Yeah,
Even just how he looks.
We've got to
like,
plug him now.
he's a creative guy.
So creative on a board. So creative.
And he's got his fashion choice, which also makes him stand out. But yeah, he made these videos absolutely amazing. I follow him on Instagram. So does my fiance Jane. And I think she or I said, I should just message him and just say that video was really good. It's like, it's so easy to do negative comments to people, so why not do positive ones as well?
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
It was either her or myself who just said, you know what, that video you just brought out, really, really good. That was awesome. And then I think he looked at my profile and saw that I knew Danny. And Danny had, obviously, what was it, Imaginate. And then he saw, so he knew about that. And he also then saw Chris Kyle's Kaleidoscope. And basically, Richie really likes what we do, likes what I do, likes what Danny and Chris was doing, and actually really was interested in doing that style of video himself. So basically got chatting, and he wanted to come to Scotland to basically hang out and meet.
I mean, if you surround yourself with people you want to be like.
Yeah.
You know, that's the key.
Well, I think in terms of his level of creativity on a board, it's very similar to like what Danny and what other people are doing. Like, oh, let's do this, or let's involve this prop, or like use the bouncing ball in the gym, or whatever. You know, he's very on that level. But yeah, carry on.
So he's basically interested in coming and making contacts to try and end result get something like that made for himself, and ended up becoming quite good friends with him and he stayed at the flat for over a month or something.
Oh wow, yes. I mean, you're just getting influence from others, and it might not necessarily be a trials rider.
That's super cool. But the cool thing with that as well, it was just one message.
Exactly. Yeah. And Jane, my fiance,
super organic. Yeah, I do love that.
She's made so many friends from Instagram just by sending people messages. Fantastic.
Maybe that's where we're going wrong.
Well,
we're not sending
it was
messages.
only a message to Martin. It was only a message to Adam. This is it. You know, you don't know until, and then people are just people at the end of the day. I'm sure he was stoked to see that, and what a great result. That's awesome.
But he over Christmas we had some drinks, and I think tequila, had a few shots. It was good.
Celebrating in style, mate. Well, I know you said earlier about the competition. You said you haven't done a competition for many years now. I know on your channel actually you did enter the British Championships 2015,
19, I think it was.
Sorry, 19.
Yeah, a few years ago now.
Yeah, a couple of years ago. I know you said that. Oh, I think the comps are out. Are we likely to see you at a competition again? Maybe.
Oh, maybe. There's a video coming soon. There might be another bike build happening with something a little special.
Ooh.
Another reason I ask, Ali, there are some competitions happening this year already. I'm not sure if you're aware. Maybe we will. I'd like to hopefully see it them. Well, we're just plugging them just in case. Trials riders that don't know, you can actually go and check out on the FXN website. They've got a calendar. There are some of the competitions. But you've pretty much answered our question now. We're very likely to see him staying in the tape soon then.
You might just do that.
Okay.
So I haven't entered yet, but I need to go on and get myself entered because, I'm keen for sure.
Fantastic news. Because, bringing your audience, I think, to that competition world and hopefully capturing another element of rides and seeing how exciting and buzzy, I should say, the competitions can be.
Yeah, like comps are great.
Some of the new ones.
I think some people have maybe seen, like, certainly quite a few years ago, we had some discussions, let's say, with a few people. Maybe some people got the impression that I don't like competitions, or I don't like comp riders or comp bikes. And yeah, modern comp bikes aren't for me, but competitions are great. I love them. I did over a decade of competition riding, traveling the world, doing the British champs, the world champs. So yeah, I'll always have a soft spot for a bit of competition.
Yeah, it's healthy. You know, it's some of the only times that me and you would go and do moves and be like, I would never do that out of choice. But I'm being forced to.
Like in various weather conditions and that, you're like, well, I'm here now. I've just got to give it a go. Like,
so, well, it's probably one of our most all-rounded trials riders, competition, street, you know, TGS and so on. What brings us into our very important round on the podcast. I don't think we're going to forget any questions this time.
We've written them down this time. It's the same 3 questions, but somehow
quick fire
round.
We do this
A
like
quick
every
fire
week.
round indeed, Ali.
And
Yes.
somehow forget. So I'll fire in with the first one. What rider gets you inspired or keeps you motivated?
So I've been trying to have a think, because obviously I've been watching and listening to your podcast, so I kind of knew this question was coming. It is so hard to nail it down to one. There's been so many over the years.
Give us a list, maybe 5 or whatever. You can give us a list. It's something that kind of gets you going.
Like bringing it way back, probably one of the first real big influences to me to get me out to comps, push my riding, because he was a way better rider than I was Danny Smith. You know
Danny Smith?
Yeah.
I don't know that name. I might be showing my age, so listeners, comment below, let us know, links. I'd love to see.
So this is around 2002 to 2004. He was a localish rider, lived over the hill from me, rode like an Echo Pure first edition one. Absolute powerhouse guy. His gaps back then were insane, and he was such a great friend. He used to drive me to all the riding spots in his, I think it was Mark 1, Mark 2 Golf or something. Yeah, so we had so many good times just driving and riding, going to the competitions and so on. So yeah, he helped push my riding back at the start, so that was good. People like Aaron Yolo Cook, we lived together. He was another local rider. He really sees the out there lines, like thinks outside the box, not only riding wise, but lifestyle wise. He's absolutely killing it in Canada at the minute. He's an incredible guy. Absolutely. Yeah. He's one of these brains that you're just like, what's going on in there? He seemed to just...
Is that like someone who's pushing you now in terms of like, I need to, because you know you have like something that kind of eggs you on to improve yourself?
It's certainly
channel, should I say?
An inspiration of like, wow, if you want to do something, there's nothing stopping you. So I don't even know what his job title is. He works on a racetrack, maintaining it, I think, but he builds race cars from scratch. He can weld like the nicest titanium or stainless steel exhaust systems. He can fix an aeroplane. I think he maybe fix a helicopter or something. He can braze up the nicest road bike frame for you. Anything like that, will learn to do it, and absolutely incredible.
It does sound like
he's like one of
it really is. And the next question.
I'll go with
this one. Yeah, you got this.
Yeah, we'll go with a favourite spot. If we could plonk you anywhere in the world where you could just ride for, I don't know, the rest of your days. Let's say that. Where would it be?
Oh, I think if the weather was nice, somewhere like Blackstone Edge. You know the Blackstone Edge?
No,
I don't think we've had that yet.
Blackstone Edge, no. Whereabouts is that? Give us a little bit.
So Blackstone Edge is one of the tallest hillsides, it's right on the border between Yorkshire and Lancashire, kind of near Rochdale. You can actually see, is it the M62 motorway kind of from the top of it? It's where the highest point, the M62 is the highest altitude motorway in the UK at that point, and then this is quite a bit higher than that.
Interesting.
It's just this rocky outcrop. It's huge. There's so much riding there, and on a nice day with no wind, sunshine, I've had almost like moments of complete bliss up there. Just, it's amazing. just rocks for days. It's not
a bit of a paradise.
Yeah, there's times up there I've been like, this is the life. This is good. And on a wet day, no.
Of course,
all changes on a wet day. Yeah.
No.
An interesting fact: I saw a UFO up there as well.
See, they are seen. They are around. Lots of people.
Wow. Was that just not like a really long day of riding? You know, when you're like really fucked and you're like, I want to go home. Like.
It could well be. I was up there with Stan Shaw, and he never saw it, but I swear I saw a UFO up there.
Yeah, just an illusion. Actually, was like, oh, was that? No, that's just a wheel floating a disc or something.
But for streets, somewhere like Barcelona, I think you've had Barcelona said before, but I don't know what the architects were on when they designed that place. But for street riding, we're right past spots which, if it was in Glasgow, would be like the best spot that you'd never leave, and then you just ride past it in Barcelona to go somewhere even better around the corner.
Yeah, that makes it.
We need to get out there.
Definitely getting over there. I mean. Trials, parks, and
weather,
street.
and
we will. Yeah. It is on the list.
It's worth it.
So Blackstone Edge and Barcelona.
What's your favourite? What's your favourite move then? What move are you doing that really gets you going or buzzed?
I don't think I have one. It depends on the situation. If it's it's totally.
It depends on the bike too. I don't know.
It depends on the bike. It depends on what I'm riding. If it, I can't narrow it down to one thing. I think in general, my favourite feeling move, but it's not necessarily something that
like a sexy move.
So I've got one in my head. I thought you were going to say, but
I'm going to say just a bunny hop.
Close enough. I was going to say a bunny hop tap, because I was most recently watched that video on your mountain bike, the front suspension. No, you're on a full sus.
Full sus, yeah.
And he does a bunny hop tap on the mountain bike, and it just looks textbook. And it looks like one of those things when you land it. I thought you'd go, "Oh my god, this feels good," like that. It just looks it, and I was thinking that must feel so good.
It does.
I guess with the bunny hop,
with full suspension, bunny taps. I can go the highest I can go on any bike on my full sus bike.
Wow. Well, I don't know if I've shown you the video. I'm going to find it for Tom in a minute and show it. And it just looks like something that was made. It looked like it was rendered. Like it's so good. It's so textbook.
But as for just moves, I think nothing feels nicer than a real full effort bunny hop when you get the timing spot on, you get the snap, you get the pull, the bike goes floaty underneath you, you get the tuck, you get a slight turn on the bars. That to me feels the best. I love them.
I suppose that because they're so simple, because you it is just effectively pulling the bars up. It's the first thing I suppose most people learn on a bike if they've never done it.
It's before I could back hop, I was pedaling
But then when you just broke it down like that, it's all those different nuances that if they're all one of those things is out of line or out of whack, then the bunny hop doesn't work. Really.
Yeah.
No, it's very much to do with timing, isn't it? I realise there's not that many moves that are
timing,
really,
tuck,
because
speed.
gap is I'm here, really throw it.
I'm saying it like I can do them, but I can imagine that that's what it feels like.
Well, we can. We're not doing 50 inches of it.
Well, we haven't got the right bike. That's what Ali says. Our bottom bracket's too high.
I've had a lot of practice doing the shows as well, where we have the bunny hop competition. Always my favourite part.
Yeah, this side-up competition is definitely my favourite part of the show. Probably because I'm half decent at it, I must say. There is one other really important question that we do ask all of our guests.
Which, of course, is the name of the show.
Of course, we are the Shin Dig podcast. That is a play on words. Some people only just realise, for those listeners, it is not named that because it's a gathering or a party. It's called a shindig because it's an injury on your leg. I can't believe I'm saying that out loud, but yes, that is why it's called a shindig. Ali, can you remember, or do you have a great shindig injury story?
I've had so many, I've probably forgotten half of them. My legs.
That's the first if someone said that, but yeah, try and pick one if you can remember.
People see my legs and be like, oh my God, what's happened? So can I pick two? Because
we love more stories the better.
One technically isn't a shindig with my pedal, but it's probably the worst one. Where I tried to quick bunny up onto a block, then quick bunny up over a gap onto a rail, except I chickened out on the block, kind of half bottled it across the gap, tried to put my foot on the ledge, but I slipped. My foot went down the wall, and the wall was like a concrete one with a sharp edge overhanging, and I hit just below my knee on the concrete, and it folded my skin kind of up the way.
Oh, that's a good one. I like that. Not only did we get under his skin, it folded back. Folding back the skin of the trials community. Sorry, go on.
I had to call Jane and be like, Jane, I think I need you to take me to the hospital. Because I've never been to the hospital for any actual pedal hits in my life. Like,
touch wood, fingers crossed. Of course, you never will.
But this one, I was like, okay, no, this one needs seeing to. And yeah, I ended up getting like 12 stitches in it or something. And then
you quite often ride alone, don't you, Ali?
I do. Yeah, this was riding alone. Was this? Might even been just before I started vlogging. I can't remember. But 4 weeks later, I had a drop and roll show in Glasgow, and I had these stitches, and they said these stitches need to come out in like 4 or 5 weeks. And it was the day before the show, and I was like, I need to ride, but I'm really worried I'm going to rip through my skin with these stitches. So I was like, right, I'm going to take them out myself. So I took the stitches out.
Go on.
So I took the stitches out, absolutely fine. Like, it sounds worse than it is, but it's...
Right,
you should have just done it as part of the show, like, and everyone, for the next trick, Ali's going to be taking his stitches out.
Talk us through that. Did you just grab pliers and just yank it?
Well, no, you just cut. I think some of them you could even undo the knots, and you just pull them out.
Just pull them out.
Yeah, it's fine. It sounds worse than it is, honestly.
Yeah, I just pictured you like pulling string like through your leg, like, oh yeah.
Yeah, well, it pretty much is.
Yeah.
And then yes, enter this show, and of course it opened up again, and blood all down. It was horrendous, and I had to keep on going back.
So many people watching.
Yeah, exactly. I had to keep on going back to the first aid stand, and I had to keep on putting new bandages on and so on. So that was definitely the most painful, worst, and most bloody shin leg injury I've had. As for actually hitting my pedal, I was in Lisbon, and it looked way worse than it was, but I slipped a pedal, standard Shin Dig, except it got me just below the knee, and it must have been just one pin just went all the way down to the top of my foot. And it was just this one long cut all the way down my entire shin.
Wow.
That sounds like
how do you get all the way down? I'm just thinking,
heard.
yeah, because normally there's a couple of inches and it just kind of comes off. Or wow, that's.
I tell you what, I'll send you some pictures if I can find them after.
Yeah, please do. It sounds like the pedal itself sort of took hold of your shin and was like, I'm not letting go, I'm not letting go, I'm not letting go.
It looked.
I have him captive now.
The funny thing is that looked so bad, but I just I taped it up. It's like equivalent of stitches, and I actually used honey on Shin Digs, and it works so well to cure them. And then, yeah.
Are we talking just like chibi honey, like squeezy bottle stuff, or has it got to be proper decent stuff?
No, I think generally honey is honey. Because my dad was a beekeeper, and honey is this fantastic stuff. It's got amazing antibacterial properties with it, and it works. Honestly, guys, if you have a cut.
I was just realising now, I was like, yeah, I think I've got like squeezy honey that's been neglected for years. I just start carrying it in my riding bag now. And then next time there's a shindig, do you remember that time Ali C said about,
That's probably got like 0.1% honey content then. It's just the rest of it's just sugar. Like,
I mean, to be fair, maybe the honey does matter because, like I said, my dad was a beekeeper, so we had honey straight from the hive. But it works so well. So I put honey on it, just like, 3 weeks later, I can't even see it on my leg anymore.
Wow.
Like,
that's a little insight there. There's a secret.
Well, similarly related to that, super glue was actually invented to close up wounds, supposedly. That's
for Vietnam.
Just a separate one.
Was it really?
Yeah, Vietnam. There we go. Yeah.
Oh.
So if you get like a big open wound, you just super glue it up, and that's.
I didn't know that.
That's why I'm so good at gluing your fingers together with it.
They needed something out on the front, so people could get stitched back together real quickly. So super glue.
It does make sense. I know that they also gave them like cocaine to keep them awake and stuff like that. But anyway, this is a trial.
We don't want to know what's in your riding bag.
Man, I think we've really touched base on everything we wanted to here. We always ask all of our guests as well. If you were to have somebody on the show, who would you want to see on the show?
Again, I've got plenty of names. I think it's really interesting having Adam Adam Reed from Tighter Bikes, and Joe Poyser from Ons are on. So to keep that theme going, I think Dave Cleaver from Inspired could be a good shot.
Yeah. We're just waiting for people to say their names. So yeah.
From a competition side, and someone I've looked up to for a long time, because he's got his head screwed on from a business point of view. Because I'm a professional rider. I have no idea what I'm doing most of the time. But Kenny Bellet.
Yes, Kenny. I have direct communications with Kenny. Luckily,
He's been riding for as long, if not longer, than I have. He's still an absolutely insanely good rider, like top level competition rider. He's been a professional rider for as long as I can remember, with all the big sponsors. I want to know how.
Yeah,
he's always been sort of like the limelight kind of guy, really, like the kind of the picture guy for trials, kind of worldwide, really, isn't he? So
yeah, look, I don't that will definitely be a goer. I have a personal relationship with Kenny, so that should hopefully not be too difficult to do. I just know that he's a very busy man, and as you know, this can be complicated with your time and Tom's time, and we're working full time as well. So we're getting there. Yeah.
One last name, I think.
Yeah, go on.
Mark Westlake from Clean Zine as well, just as a
already asked him. He's on the list. Don't worry, because I always want Mark to do. He doesn't know. I want him to do an edit too, because he's amazing at his videos.
Yeah, a lot of the big videos that kind of just show off like a lot of the talent in the trials world done by Mark.
Yeah,
just an amazing videographer.
We're very much going for quantity over quality on some of our vlogs right now, and we're the same as you.
Same
we
as
are
me.
aiming for that.
Same as me.
Week, once a week, just get a video out, keep it going, and just keep the momentum flowing. But we do realise that there needs to be an element of perhaps some quality there, and maybe we could get somebody from the outside in to look at it differently.
Well, Mark could be a great one.
That is what I've got in mind. He's going to listen now, and I haven't even asked him yet, but it's on my mind.
Speaking of riders who have been a big influence on me, Mark has probably been one of the biggest. He was there from when I kind of started doing the streety style riding, and has been the biggest influence on me on kind of the BMX scene and doing things kind of like unwritten rules kind of way. I know that's like a touchy subject to some people. So he's been, the quality of my riding, Mark's person to thank for that.
Awesome. Wow. That's good. That's really good to know. I think we're
coming
the
follow up.
We're coming for you, Mark, for sure.
What if we're going to close the episode up now? But one last message for our listeners. It could be trials riders, could be riders in general. What do you want?
Or your fans on YouTube? Anything your message you want to give?
Well, I'm kind of hoping with the videos I'm showing that determination gets results. That could either be riding. If you're trying something, it takes hundreds of tries to do something sometimes. So don't give up. Basically, if you have an idea, stick with it. Do what you can to make it happen and persevere. Hard work pays off.
Awesome.
Lovely message there.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you again, Ali, for coming on.
Thanks for having me, guys. Been a pleasure.
You can you've got to catch up with Ali on all the socials. Yeah. Obviously, he's massive on YouTube. His own website as well. What's the exact address? Ali Clarkson.
AliClarkson.com.
You can get all your Ali merch as well. Some awesome t-shirts and bits and pieces.
Yeah, I've seen you guys plugging the Shin Dig merch. I've been quite impressed with how pro you're doing it and stuff. Yeah, I might have to get some tips on you.
Very much. Wow. Well, we're actually it will when this podcast
from
is
May.
Out, you can go onto our website and get some of the goodies. It's still a work in progress, but we're getting there next week for some people to start getting bits.
And it's just there to support the podcast, as we mentioned before. Matt and I both work full time. We already have paying jobs. So this is really just to help cover the costs of the podcast, video, if we need to get a new camera for video and things like that.
So we can move forward and hopefully grow the Shin Dig media as we're sort of going with it. We want every trials rider to be a part of it, and we want every trials rider to know what it is and understand it, because it's just bringing the community together again. And
weird that's gone from full circle from Trials Forum, where everyone was on it, to now it's kind of disjointed, where some people are on YouTube, some people are on Facebook, some people are in WhatsApp groups, and it's like we'll put more media out. I think everyone should do more of that. We're just so stoked that we've had yourself on, Ali, to kind of.
It's been a pleasure.
You're the pioneer of this.
Absolutely, and we hope that your fans will find us too, and realise that there's more. We're bringing out more biking content and material. So, thanks again. We've been the Shin Dig podcast.
Take care.
Take care, guys, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
fire.